Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Life Story 999. Today, we have an incredible story that will challenge your thoughts about the world around you. It's a tale filled with deep emotions, unexpected twists, and the kind of life lessons that stay with you long after you've heard them. This story will touch on assumptions we often make, the prejudices we may hold without even realizing, and, ultimately, the true meaning of love and family, beyond blood ties. As you listen, think about how you might react if you were in the same situation. Could you see beyond first impressions? Remember, your voice matters. We love hearing your thoughts, so please like, comment, and share your personal experiences. Your insights could inspire someone else. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and join our community. Let's dive right into this heartfelt story that's sure to leave an impact. On a serene Saturday afternoon, Irene, a retired schoolteacher, enjoyed her usual walk through the local park, her loyal dog trotting alongside her. This was her favorite part of the week. Just her furry companion, and the tranquility of nature. She loved how the soft rustling of leaves and chirping of birds created a symphony of peace that eased her mind from the chaos of the world. But today, something seemed out of place. Irene's eyes were drawn to an unusual scene. A black woman, Naomi, holding the hand of a small blonde-haired boy, while a slightly older boy, about 10 years old, stood at a distance, visibly upset. His eyes were red, and he was actively resisting Naomi's attempts to bring him closer. It was the kind of scene that made Irene pause. She had spent years in classrooms, developing a keen sense for troubled situations, and something about this felt off. The unease built up inside her. Was this woman really supposed to be with these children? As the suspicion took root, Irene decided she couldn't just walk away. She approached a nearby police officer, her heart pounding slightly faster. "Officer, excuse me," she whispered, her voice trembling with urgency. "I think something might be wrong. That woman over there. She might be kidnapping those children." The officer's expression shifted as he followed Irene's gaze. Without hesitation, he moved towards Naomi, Irene trailing close behind, watching anxiously. As they approached, Naomi's eyes flickered with concern, her posture tightening. She knew what was coming. She had faced situations like this before. "Is there something wrong?" Naomi asked, her voice steady though her eyes betrayed her nervousness. The officer looked at her calmly but with authority. "We just need to understand your relationship to these children, ma'am." Naomi took a deep breath. "I'm their stepmother. The little one is Luke, and the older one is Max. Max is having a tough time adjusting, but I'm doing my best to take care of them." Max saw the officer's serious expression and sensed an opportunity. Fueled by his resentment and confusion, he shouted, "She's not my mom. She's trying to take us." The officer, faced with a child's cry for help, had no choice but to take the claim seriously. Naomi felt her heart sink as the officer asked her to come with them. Her hands trembled slightly as she was escorted to the police car, her thoughts racing. She knew the truth, but in that moment, the truth didn't seem to matter. From a short distance, Irene watched with a sense of grim satisfaction. She believed she had just saved 2 children from a dangerous situation. But for Naomi, this was only the beginning of an ordeal that was about to test her strength and patience in ways she never imagined. Naomi sat in the cold, dimly lit interrogation room, her hands trembling slightly from the tension and the sheer exhaustion of the ordeal. The starkness of the room seemed to press in on her, making the situation even more intimidating. Across from her, a detective loomed, his eyes hard as he leaned in, trying to break her composure. "Just admit it," he said, his voice a mix of impatience and accusation. "You took those kids, didn't you?" Naomi looked him in the eyes, her voice steady despite the fear churning inside her. "I haven't done anything wrong," she replied. "I'm their stepmother. My husband is their legal guardian." She knew that each word mattered, that every bit of composure she could muster might make the difference between being believed and being condemned. Outside the room, Max sat in the waiting area, fidgeting nervously. He had no real sense of the gravity of what he had done. To him, this was just another way to push back against Naomi, someone he still saw as an intruder in his life. He didn't understand the chaos he had unleashed or the real fear and danger Naomi now faced. Next to him, his younger brother, Luke, sat quietly, his wide eyes reflecting confusion and worry. The tension in the station hung heavy, and even Luke could feel it. After what felt like an eternity, the officers finally managed to contact Vanessa, the boy's biological mother. When she arrived, her demeanor was shockingly indifferent. She walked in with an air of annoyance, her sunglasses perched atop her head as if she were merely running an inconvenient errand. "What's the issue here?" she asked curtly, her eyes glancing around the station with irritation. "I was about to leave for Hawaii, and now I have to deal with this?" The officer blinked, surprised by her lack of concern. "Ma'am, are you saying this woman is indeed their stepmother?" he asked, his tone shifting to one of disbelief. Vanessa gave a dismissive wave, barely glancing at Naomi. Yes. She's married to my ex. He's raising them. I have my own life now." Her indifference cut through the room, leaving a stunned silence in its wake. The officer's face softened, and he quickly moved to release Naomi, an apology on his lips. Naomi stood up, her body still tense, but her spirit unbroken. Just as she was being let out, the door to the station burst open. George, her husband, stormed in, his face etched with worry and anger. He was a well-respected community leader, and the urgency in his steps showed the depth of his concern. George made a beeline for Naomi, pulling her into a tight embrace. "I'm so sorry, my love," he whispered, his voice breaking with emotion. "I should have been here to protect you." His words were filled with regret, and Naomi could feel the weight of his fear for her. Turning towards the officers, George's expression hardened. He was no longer just a worried husband. He was a leader demanding accountability. "This is unacceptable," he said, his voice firm and resonant. "You judged her without any proof, simply because of her skin color. That kind of prejudice has no place here." His words carried a powerful weight, and the officers lowered their gazes in shame. George demanded an official apology, speaking out passionately about the importance of equality, dignity, and the fair treatment of all people. His voice echoed through the station, a reminder that everyone deserves respect, regardless of their race or background. The officers nodded, visibly chastened, as they promised to review their actions and ensure such mistakes wouldn't happen again. Naomi stood by George, her heart swelling with both love and relief. Despite everything, she knew she wasn't alone. She had her family, and together, they would face whatever came their way. George then turned his attention to Max, who stood in the corner, his head hanging low, tears streaming down his cheeks. The sting of his mother's indifference had cut deep, far deeper than he ever imagined. In that painful moment, he realized the enormity of what he had done. The harm he had caused Naomi, the only one who had truly cared for him without condition. Seeing her stepson so broken, Naomi felt her heart soften. She knelt down beside Max, her eyes filled with compassion. "Max," she began, her voice gentle and soothing, "I know you're scared, and I understand that I'm not your mom. But that doesn't change how much I love you. I'm here for you, no matter what." Max couldn't hold back any longer. Overwhelmed with regret, he threw his arms around Naomi, sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't mean it. I'm so sorry." Naomi wrapped her arms around him, holding him tightly. Her heart ached, not from the pain she had endured that day, but from knowing how much hurt Max carried inside. She whispered softly, "It's okay, Max. We're family, and we'll face everything together." And that, dear viewers, is how love triumphed over prejudice and misunderstanding. This story teaches us that true family is not always about blood, but about the bonds we build through love, empathy, and unwavering support. Appearances can often be deceiving, and it's what lies in our hearts that truly matters. If you were in Naomi's shoes, how would you have handled the situation? We want to hear your thoughts. Please like, share, and subscribe for more stories that touch the heart. Share your own experiences with us in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.